Hi, God's people. I am Kanishia Hill. I am the CEO of Power 7 Inc. down in Hollywood, Florida. Power stands for Peaceful, Obedient Women Encouraging Righteousness. And I've been led to come on tonight to do a special edition of Kanishia Speaks. So Kanishia Speaks is actually a Instagram inspirational post I do weekly on my Instagram for Power. And monthly, my group and I, we get together for prayer. I'll put the information down below if you want to join our WhatsApp group. But once a month we get together, we close out at the end of the month prayer, do testimonies and just speak some things to each other and keep each other encouraged. And I was led to do an extension of what was my post meme for that day. And God had led me to wrap up this season as we walk into the next season. It was called BTS, which stood for Believe, Trust, and Surrender. And I just want to kind of like do like a little deep dive in what he was showing me in reference to that. You know, it's a lot of things happening in the world, a lot of things happening in life. Life is life, and we're going through so many things, and it's just so much happening. And I think that God has sent the message out to his people that he wants us to just believe, trust, and surrender what we're dealing with to him. And so I want to go a little deep dive into it. So when I was preparing for this word, originally it was just a meme, and I just heard those three words and I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then as I was preparing for the prayer line, God was like, no, the deep dive on this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So my post was already set to go out on this day. And then he's like, no, I want you to talk a little bit more detail to my people about it, because we're in a situation right now, and they've done part A and part B, but they're not doing part C. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me do it. So we'll start with B, which is believe. And so throughout this whole year, for those of you who are following me, two of the things I have been talking about for the first part of the year, the middle of the year, and now we're at the end, was God was talking about believe, like believing in him, relying on him, trusting on him, that it's going to work. And then the second part that God was showing me was about trust. And even throughout the year, I had been talking to God's people, and I'm like, this is what I've been hearing God say for like 3 months. He was like, trust, trust, trust. And then I was dealing with the situation, and I was like, oh, that's what he meant by trust. Like, I didn't understand what he meant, but now I see. And then it was to a point when I was like, all right, God, I need grace. And never in my life had I really understood what God was saying about what he meant for grace. Like I knew, and I knew that I prayed for it, and it was like something that you just do generally, but I don't think I really understood what God meant by grace until this season. And then I was invited to speak at a church for an event, and I have my own word, and I go out there and do my thing, and they're like, no, we want you to come and talk about grace. And I was like, okay. But then it was like 2 weeks before, God, I was dealing with a situation, and I was like, all right, God, I need you to help me with grace. So I was just like, this is crazy how God was like, here's a situation. I'm going to show you what I mean by grace. So when I was, and so now we're walking into this last season of the year, God is talking about surrendering. So I'm going to go and do a deep dive for each one, and we'll get started in a few minutes. I'll see you soon.